Welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Now, please be joined by one of the broadcasters for the Auburn Tigers, Brad Law, for the other booth, presented by Marathon as we get ready for the Iron Bowl. And Brad, can you believe it, first of all, that Iron Bowl Saturday is already here?
No, we wait all year long for football season to start, regardless of how much success we have in other sports, and there's plenty of it right now in our state. There's still like we know we wait 9 months for football season to start, then it goes by just like that. So here we are.
Here we are, week 12, time to wrap up the regular season. And for the Auburn Tigers, just tell us, first of all, what kind of year has it been?
Yeah, ups and downs, a lot of downs early. This was a team that we thought would have a better record, quite frankly, than it does right now because the talent level overall, everybody thought and probably is, I mean, objectively higher than it was a year ago. There were a couple of games early in the year where Auburn outgained the opponent by 100 yards or more and still lost because of turnovers or the worst timed penalties you can imagine. And so they got out to a 3-6 start to the year. A lot of frustration and questions, and lo and behold, you win two straight games and win one the way that they did Saturday against Texas A&M, and the feelings change a little bit. And the bottom line is this is a team that's in the top half of the SEC in rush offense, top half in pass offense, top three or four in total defense, and their record doesn't bear that out. And you are what your record says you are. But it's a team that very easily could have a very different record coming into Saturday.
And that four overtime win against Texas A&M certainly was emotional. We saw that with the fans going on the field, Jordan-Hare Stadium. Was that just such a release of some pent-up frustration from how the season had gone, or was that truly just a huge celebration for what that game meant right there?
Probably a little bit of both. I think field rushing has a different meaning now than it did 10 or 20 or certainly back further than that years ago. It's almost like fans see it as a right now. Like if you haven't done it yet, we need to find a reason to do it. However, it was a big win. There's no question. It was the first win over a ranked opponent in a couple of years. The way that they won it, the final home game for the seniors. These are seniors that in today's age in college football had a lot. I mean, Jarquez Hunter had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere. Some guys defensively had opportunities to go elsewhere, but they believed in the vision cast by this coaching staff, and they stayed, and the fans appreciated that. And yeah, it was a relief and a celebration of what they did in that game, and sort of a hint at the belief and the hope in what they believe they're building.
You mentioned Jarquez Hunter, of course, one of the huge stars on offense, along with your quarterback, Peyton Thorne. Just tell us about the offensive side of the ball and what really makes this Auburn team go.
Yeah, 1994 was the last time prior to 2 games ago, prior to the ULM game. 94 was the last time Auburn had a 100-yard rusher and two 100-yard receivers in the same game. They did it against ULM, did it again last week against Texas A&M. So something we hadn't seen in 30 years previously. Auburn is now done in back-to-back games, and that has led to a lot more belief and optimism and confidence in this offense. As I said, it's the top half of the league in rushing, top half in passing. Peyton Thorne had early interception troubles this season. Hasn't really shown that of late. I think he's got 8 interceptions now for the year, and half of those probably came in 1 or 2 games in the month of September. So you have a senior quarterback in Peyton Thorne. They made a change on the offensive line and inserted Braden Joyner, a guy who went to Auburn High School, at left guard and moved Dylan Wade out to left tackle. That has seemed to give that offensive line a little more punch in the run game. They've given it to Jarquez a little more in recent games, and we've seen the results of that. This is still an offense that's going to be predicated first on Jarquez in the run game. And then the improvements in the receiving core this year just cannot be overstated. Keandre Lambert-Smith led Penn State in receiving 2 straight years. It's back-to-back 10-win seasons. He comes here and helps bring some of those young guys along. Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, 2 guys from in-state who have especially the last couple of weeks, Cam with back-to-back 100-yard games, really shown that they're going to be big impact guys for a couple of years.
And then what's the identity of this Auburn defense? Who are some of the key playmakers there?
Yeah, you've got Eugene Asante in the middle. He is the transfer 3 years ago from North Carolina. He's the vocal leader. He's the leader on the field. Keldrick Falk, as a sophomore, went to SEC Media Days back in July, and everybody thought, well, does that mean he's poised for a breakout year? Yeah, he's had a breakout year. He and Jalen McLeod off the edge provide the pass rush. And then you've got a secondary that's basically all freshmen. Kayan Lee is a sophomore, but behind him, you've got Caleb Harris out of Thompson High School, who's a true freshman. Jalen Crawford, a true freshman at corner. It's the most sophomore. I'm sorry, the most freshman snaps of any defense in the country, and you've seen a progression. They've steadily gotten better. Prior to Texas A&M, they had held four straight opponents under 100 yards rushing. So some real measured improvement for a very young group defensively.
Then to round out the scouting report, let's go to special teams because, as we know, Brad, sometimes the Iron Bowl does come down to special teams.
Yeah, it does. Oscar Chapman feels like he's been here as the punter for 8 or 9 years. An Australian guy, and you know what? He shanked a couple last week, and it's the first time he's ever done that in a game. Like he didn't have one bad punt in his entire career till he had two last week. So that's something we'll watch. Tremendously reliable guy up until last week. And then at place kicker, Auburn's had trouble. Alex McPherson, as a freshman last year, didn't miss a kick. Field goal or extra point was perfect. Has some health issues that he's going through. And so in the last couple of weeks, Auburn's made a change there. Ian Bashan was a kicker for Birmingham Southern. They closed the school down. He had nowhere to go. He was invited to come join the Auburn team, and he kicked some clutch field goals in last week's game against Texas A&M. So that's a little bit of a glimpse of the kicking game.
Earlier this week, you hosted Tiger Talk with the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Hugh Freeze. What was his main messaging to the Auburn fans in preparation for Saturday?
Well, just he understands what this game means to the fans. He understands what it means to every player on this team. And, you know, we've got a lot of kids from Alabama, from the state on this team, and you all do too. I mean, it is the game that you talk about every day. It's the game you think about every day of the year, even as you're chasing SEC championships and playoff berths. And, you know, it's going to be a defining game for the players. It's a defining game for a lot of fans for sure. And he understands that. And I think that was the message. And, you know, certainly what to do against a very talented Alabama team. He's got a lot of respect for Alabama on both sides of the ball, understandably, and knows what a challenge this will be on Saturday and what an opportunity it is for this team Saturday.
As you mentioned before, we always look all year forward to the Iron Bowl and getting Alabama and Auburn together in football. But I think this year we're also pretty excited for what's going to be coming up in men's basketball. And Brad, it's still relatively early in the week for Alabama. I know Auburn's a little further along in Maui, but Feast Week has been mighty good to both of these basketball programs, especially what we've seen Auburn do the last couple of days.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl's team has gone back for seconds and thirds in this top 10 schedule. Already wins over Houston, wins over Iowa State, and then North Carolina. This is a team with, you know, not just quad one wins, but top 10 Ken Palm rated wins, and we're not even a month into the season yet. Janai Broome is going to be in the conversation. I think he's played, I'm biased obviously, but I think he's played like the best player in the country thus far this year. Certainly he's got numbers to back that up. Chaney Johnson has developed tremendously from a role player last year to a big matchup problem on the inside. And then they've improved their depth at the guard spot so that you don't have to have one guy go off every day. You can build an identity around Janai and Chaney on the inside, and then one guy go off on the outside to complement the game and give you a real inside-out presence. And they're always going to be good defensively under Bruce. So I love it. I love what basketball is in our state right now. Love the passion, love the talent, and the fact that these games mean so very much when they get together.
Yeah, wait for the basketball matchups. Obviously, football this week. Before you know it, we're going to be talking Crimson Tide and Tiger baseball as well. But it is a year that's going to go by in a blink, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Brad, just thank you so much for all the time you've given us today. We look forward to seeing you Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
My pleasure, Roger. Thank you.